Hello everyone, Mark McRae here. Thanks for joining me today. This video is part one of a small series of videos that will be focused on retopology for animation purposes. One important thing I'd like to make clear before we dive into this is that I'll be covering topology that isn't always required. The loops you add to a model for deformation should only be for what is needed. Do not add topology in an area that the camera won't see much of. That said, you will see me show how I add geometry in a few places in this series outside of the major joint areas to hopefully show people how to approach topology and maybe help solve topology issues they may see. So with that, let's dive right into how I tackle knees and leg deformation solutions. So we're going to start this by working as low poly as possible. The first thing we want to do is find the center of the knee. And we're going to go 8 quads around the leg. So there's our front 4. And there's our back 4. So then we want this line to be basically in the middle of the side, this one to be middle back, and this one to be middle inside. And our bottom loop is going to cut through the knee. So this area is our knee. So there's multiple ways that you can work the knee. I prefer an X joint myself. I think that's one of the better ways to do it. I'm going to show a few different methods, and some of them will work depending on the amount of topology that you have. The nice thing about the X joint is that it works at pretty much all subdivision levels, whereas doing an inset knee, as an example, will only work when it's higher poly. So if we isolate this knee, the inset knee is basically grabbing those front portions of the knee. Let's make sure that we've only got those 8 quads. And then you're doing an extrude and an offset. And there you can see we've got this inset knee, exactly as it sounds. And it's immediately perfectly quadded out. And that will work. You can do that, and then that's perfectly fine. It's one way that people do it. You get that clean loop, you got the extra geometry while having the larger pieces in the back to pinch properly. So that's definitely one way that you can just quickly get the extra geo in there for your knee. And then the X loop, let's get out of isolation mode, is a little different in that we are going to cut our geometry in. And that will get us very similar look. And then we just turn those two triangles into a quad. And you just clean up around and you get a nice low poly knee. So this is the X loop. If we go out of quad draw and we isolate again, go into faces, we can see that this creates that X. So you get that loop and this loop. And that creates a nice bend for the knee. This, especially in lower topology, is a much nicer deformation than the inset knee. If you're going basically as low as this, if you're all the way down to an 8 segment limb, then better to do the X joint. If you're doing a 16 edge limb, then you can do either or and you'll be fine. So let's continue on with the leg from here. The next thing that you may want, depending on your subdivision level or deformation that you need, is you may want to have this muscle group. And then you may also want, actually let's just clear dots, a loop for the buttocks area so that this would come off of this to get that. And you would just basically do the same thing as you did with that muscle group there. So this is where it can get a bit tricky. We want this loop here that under the crotch and under the butt. We want this one to make sure that we get it matched up. yeah, so there's the basics of some legs. Now we could make an argument to put some geo here, just to get that crease covered a little bit better. That's definitely, I know we reduced the geo from here only to add it back in here, but I think that that makes more sense. Gives us a nice cut in there. Yeah, I like this much better. And just go through and that constant massaging of verts, getting everything where you want it, where it looks good. And then let's just isolate this. How's it look? Looking pretty good. We got our X loop there for the leg. And then we have loop for the thigh muscle and for the buttocks. So you can get a little extra animation and deformation in those areas. Now, of course, these aren't 100% needed. The butt probably more so, but you know, unless you're doing like some blend shapes, you know, flexing of leg muscles and stuff like that, this isn't 100% necessary. But you know, want to cover all the different possibilities. Be aware of where your poles are when you're putting them in. Make sure that they work. They're going to be in areas where pinching is okay or won't be noticed. And yeah, hopefully this helps. And look forward to the next part, which will be covering the arms and shoulders. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for all your support. Have a great day.